Welcome back to SuperCoach Masters, guys. I'm Geordie, and this is the little segment mid-round that I like to call SuperCoach Disasters. So, just going to review the Friday and the Thursday night games. I know there's a lot of disappointed Supercoaches out there. We'll see which ones really disappointed us, and if there's any ones we need to keep an eye out to trade in, and what we can do for the rest of the round, guys. So, let's get into the first game, which was Carlton taking on the Cats, and look, didn't Jeremy Cameron have a good game with 25 touches and 6 goals, 94% time on ground? I don't think any of us are going to bring him in, but I'm sure we asked the question, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a no. But this is how he stays around that 500k mark, Jeremy Cameron, with performances like this. But keep in mind, he's a forward, he's a tall, he ain't going to be scoring that well all the time. 149 Supercoach, but Jack Bowes, now he's a more interesting one. I know some people brought him in with he's got 20 touches and 5 tackles, which is the most impressive thing was the 87% time on ground, guys. He played a full game for a guy coming back for his calf, and 10 times more than what Tanner Bruhn played. A lot of people are asking, should I bring him in next week or this week, or I think we can wait on Bowes, because there's going to be a lot of people on the bubble that's going to change in price. Bowes isn't one of them because he missed the first game. So look, if we're going to bring in Bowes, which, you know, if he keeps playing the role he did and taking kickouts, we probably will bring him in, but not next week, because next week is a very important round for your just to build your team structure, your rookies, get all the players that are making the cash. So we're going to give Bowes another week, guys, and see what he can do. Maxi Holmes, 102 Supercoach, 77. He was one of those mid-prices. Looks like he's going to reward a couple of coaches, but not someone to bring in, I don't think, unless you already have him. Not too many more Cats that are relevant to talk about. Tanner. Oh, okay. So the coaches that got rid of Tanner, good on you. That was a good call. For the ones that didn't, it's not all doom and gloom. You know, you kept him. You obviously wanted to see another week, because if he won 100, then, you know, you probably would have kept him and see if his role changed, but it didn't. But because you've kept him, now you can see which is the best kind of mid-price or the best rookie you want to bring in. So you're pretty much minimising the risk by waiting on Tanner, even if you did cop that 46. Hopefully you had him as an emergency and you wanted to loop. But yeah, 62% time on ground. It's almost one of the lowest here. So except for the person who was subbed off. Yeah, it's not ideal for Tanner. He has to go this week, and he will. We'll look at options a bit later in the week, but right now we're going to sit back and just watch some other mid-prices score and see which one's the best option for Tanner. So last one to talk about is probably Radic. 6 touches, 2 free kicks against, 31 Supercoach, 93% time on ground. He's going to be a slow burn, guys. Maybe we get rid of him next week if we have to. Yeah, 31 ain't going to make much cash anytime soon, but, you know, the way he plays, he could get a couple intercept possessions, get yourself an 80 at some point, but he doesn't really spread for the ball when his teammates have it, so depends what other kind of issues you got. But if you wanted to trade him out or to get a cash generating rookie, and I wouldn't hate it based on what we've seen so far. Let's go over to Carlton, where Sard was pretty good, 29 touches. I think he only got like 17 last week and still got it over a ton. So he's rewarding the coaches that went on the pod direction with him, 113 Supercoach. It's not too bad. We're pretty happy with that, especially considering what are some of the other 600k defenders, which, you know, my two, which I had Stewart and Doherty, they've been so shit. Bit harsh on Doc, but Paddy Cripps now 27 touches. It's not the worst. Only 99 Supercoach. You got 121 last week. I wouldn't be rushing to trade Cripps out. I wouldn't recommend anyone trade Cripps out 6 tackles. He still looks good. Like, keep in mind, guys, he had 55% efficiency. He had the most contested possessions of the game at 15. That's what you want from him. probably be averaging around 110 after this week. Blitzstars was running with him for a lot of the game, especially towards the end. So, look, I think it's one of the lowest scores you're going to see from Cripps. So, I wouldn't be too concerned about that. Just going to have to write that one out. Many hours, 3 goals. Doherty. Now, this is disgusting. Doc, I don't know if you watched the game, guys, but a lot of the game he was about a kick or about half a kick behind the play, and he just was out of it for most of it. So the ball either went over his head or just shoveled around in the midfield, and then they just went for either forward or back. So Doherty, that was a very poor game. The role wasn't that good. He wasn't really killing CBAs either, centre bounce attendances. He wasn't doing many kick-outs. It was just one of that no man's land kind of zone. 0 tackles. I didn't like his role at all, but hopefully Hewitt comes back and they put him back to where he was the first game, because that was an attractive role. Now, Ollie Hollands is one we need to keep an eye on, because you look at 71 Supercoach, it is what it is. It's not too bad. It's okay for a rookie. 20 touches. Now, the thing that we like the most about Ollie Hollands is this week and last week, his time on ground. Look at this. 89% time on ground now. If you're on the ball, or if you're on the ground for that long and you're on a wing or something, it's really tempting. So he's one on my watch list for next week, guys. Some people got on him early. It's fair enough. He was a high draft pick. They're going to persist with him all year for sure. 89% time on ground. Yeah, yes. One to put on the watch list, guys, for next week. And we've got the cow here. 51 Supercoach isn't too bad from what he dished up last week. 70% time on ground. So 12 touches, 3 marks, no tackles. So it wasn't exactly a great game. I know many people had the emergency on him. For Doherty, now some of you guys are going to want to ask to trade him out, should I not? Because he's going to have a huge break even by next week, going into round 3. So look, if you wanted to trade out Doherty, you'd have to have nothing else going wrong with your team. You have to pretty much hit all the horses on the head if you want to say, okay, look, I need some cash. Doherty's going to go down. I've got no one else to go, and you want to get rid of Doherty for a bit of a downgrade, not a sideways. I wouldn't recommend that, because Doherty could easily come out and get 120 next week, and then if you trade him to like a Sicily can get like a 90. So if you want to free up cash and you got no one else to do it because your team is so good, get rid of Doherty. But unless that's happening, guys, I think we're going to be sticking with Doherty. So let's get to the next game. So I actually done this video beforehand and I released it, but I thought they were going to call the game when the lights went off, but they didn't. So I had to do another one. Now look at this. A lot of talking points here, and let's start with Melbourne, because I just want to get straight into Max Gawn and the owners, and it looks like he scored 0. And I know it was a bit of a pod. 10-11% of coaches had Max Gawn. A fair bit had captain or vice captain, so that's pretty shit, guys. An injury to over a 600k primo in the first quarter is so wrong. I feel so bad for you guys, but at least he didn't do this round 3 and lost 60k. So you can swap, get some options for him, and hopefully if you did have him, you didn't have Tom Stewart as well last week. But if you did, guys, what can you do, huh? It's just how it goes. There was a bit of a pattern. Everyone that's over 30 is starting to get injured pretty quickly. It was like Treloar and Gawn and Stewart, and there's a couple other ones that were mentioned on the Twitterverse, but 3% time on ground. That's just, it's not pretty fair. But I think there's only 3 real replacements for him, guys. I think that's going to be Darcy, Sean Darcy. Got to be Witts. Witts had a great game, and Tim English. Tim English looked amazing. That's assuming you already have Marshall. I think if you don't have Marshall, that's another great option. But I think those 3 or 4 are the best ones. Obviously, Grundy is going to be the big beneficiary. 74 Supercoach didn't set the game on fire at all, but Yeah, 95 Dream Team, 45 hitouts. You know, his time on ground went up so much from, you know, last week when Max Gawn was, he was at 69%. He was on 86. I could only see good things coming Grundy's way now, especially for the, you know, next 6 or 7 weeks. We don't know how long Max Gawn's out, but that's definitely, Grundy stocks are definitely going up. So keep that in mind, Gawn owners. I know you probably don't want to go to Grundy, then, you know, have to trade him out. But if you already are a Grundy owner, incredibly good news for you guys, and very bad about the Maxi Gawn. Now, Judd McPhee, again, another poor score. We're not going to be worrying about trading him in next week. But someone that we might, Kay Chandler, look, he had 12 touches and a goal, 63% game time. That's, that's 63% game time, guys. That's Tanner Bruhn. Like, I am not convinced. I know he just needs another 70 or another 90, and he's going to get a lot of cash gen. But if he gets 12 touches and a goal, most weeks that won't even get you 50. Get you thereabouts. 63% game time. I didn't love that. Not at all. The only reason why he would, because his average is now going to probably be in the 80s, and all he needs to do is get another sneaky 70 like this, and he's going to make a lot of cash. But, you know, if he gets a 50 next week, then another 50. Yeah, I don't know. I'll put him on the watch list, but he's not by any stretch leading the race. I'd rather be going after an Ollie Hollands type than him at this moment, especially because the forward line is very packed. Brayshaw, 27 touches, 88 Supercoach. Wasn't too bad. 4 free kicks against. That's a ton without that. 12 contested. Didn't mind his game. Obviously not what you want from a 550k player, but, you know, he came back into it. So, you know, it is what it is. You can't really trade him out. I'd trade Brayshaw out before Doherty anyway. That's because based on role, I just like Doherty better. Christian Petrarca, 24 touches, 6 tackles, 1 goal, 86% time on ground, 97. That's not the worst score, considering what all the other 600k primos are doing. So I guess you hold tight with Petrarca, just like you would with Cripps. Now, this is really good news for Clary owners. You paid the big bucks, 37 touches, 1 goal. He got 9 tackles. Now, this is really good because he was about to come off the bench when the lights were going off, and for, you know, the last rest before the quarter, and he just had his rest while the lights were out and ended up having almost 90% time on ground. You know, it's not too far off. He usually gets in the 80s, but that's a huge boost. And 135. He was one of the most vice-captained and captained choices this week, guys. So, if you're a Clarion, congratulations. You paid the big bucks, and, you know, you deserve to be rewarded. And 135 is very nice. Let's go over to the Lions. Dunkley, I had the vice captain on Dunk, so I took it off last second because his time on ground last week wasn't, you know, in the high 80s like a lot of the other, you know, Cripps types, Oliver types, and Petrarca types were. So I took the vice captain off him, and he didn't get many CBAs compared to, you know, what he did in the practice game. So he only got like 21 last week. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to play it safe and not put the vice captain on Dunkley. But I got the CBAs for you guys here for this game, and he actually had the most. So, you know, he had 28, and then Neil had 27, Clary had 27, and Grundy had 23, which obviously just going to be around that mark, Grundy, when, you know, next week and the following weeks. Ashcroft only had 8 CBAs. That is so minor, so little, but he got so many touches. He got 31 touches and a goal, 15 contested possessions. Up there with Dunkley, 15 contested possessions. Can't believe Dunkley only got 69% time on ground. That's not what you want. It makes it a bit hard to trust when you get 69% time on ground. Berry was up there as well with the CBAs this week. So they're sharing it a fair bit. Now, my trade, I done Tom Stewart for McKenna guys. You'd be wrapped with the 78. Okay, he's not going to get those 90s every day. 78 is amazing. If you could pump that out every week, I'd be happy. 15 touches from 84% time on ground. Very happy with the 78. Lockie Neal. 0 tackles. You know, he spends so much of the game in the midfield. To have 0 tackles that's a really, really shit effort. Like he had 27 touches at the Gabba. I know this thing's a little bit more than your Petrarca types because he is priced at that 676 kind of price mark. It's about 200s in a row now. Probably have a high break even, but he can easily get a 150 next week. I think if you got him, you got to stick with him. As I said, unless you have no other problems and will free up some cash, but you can do that with anyone. Lockie Neal's game wasn't too bad. I mean, 0 tackles, Lockie. That's so bad. I know a couple of people had him vice captain as well, so that's going to suck. Going to have to take a gamble, and we'll look at some captain options as well, guys. So Daniel Rich was pretty average, was a 69. I think he's coming to an end of his days as a SuperCoach Premium. He does do a hell of a lot of kickouts, but yeah, Melbourne only got the 4 behinds this game, so that's not going to help. Darren Joyce, 58 in his first game as a line, not too bad. How bad was McLuggage? 55 SuperCoach. All right, but that's enough about these boys. I think that's pretty much everyone. Look, if you traded out Ashcroft, you probably don't watch this channel anyway because there's no way we would recommend that. Wilmot, forgot about Wilmot. Have him as the emergency 68. So if Liam Jones is a laid out, I'd be taking that every day of the week. 70% time on ground, not too bad. You obviously want it to be in the high 70s for a rookie or mid 70s, but you'd take a 70 and a 68 from Wilmot. Just let him on the bench every third or fourth game. If you can pop off a 68, you'd be more than happy. And that brings us to just my team and my trade. So here you go. The boys not performing very well, but got the Dunkleys 117, Ashcroft's 105, McKenna and Doherty. So look, I've already done the one trade to get this McKenna in. So what I'm thinking for my trades, guys, first we'll go with the captain. I'm going to go Bonds. He's got a great record against St Kilda. Whether it gets tagged by Seb Ross or another type remains to be seen, but I have to back him in. And I didn't want to put the straight captain on him in case of the tag, so I put the vice captain on him, and I'd be happy to go Tom Green captain, because Tom Green, 50 touches in his first intra-club match. Then his next game against Gold Coast in the Pracky match, he dominated that as well. And then round 1, he dominated. So we don't know where his floor is, but it's all good signs. So a bit risky. I know you'd rather be captaining someone who's 700k than 530, but I think that's the way to go. So I'm happy to run this for a little bit, because I don't love any of the options there. If you do have Jones, you want to get rid of him, I'd be getting Dacos for him. Okay, that's pretty much my number one option. None of the Freo boys, because St Kilda obviously had that flood back, and Ross Lyon let them chip it around, and they're very undersized, St Kilda. So that's why Freo scored so much. That's why I want to keep Bruce. I want to keep Jones, because if they do the same thing, they can chip it around, have possessions, get some intercept marks. I reckon they can score pretty well. Based on what the Freo guy scored, Jones and Bruce could be pretty handy scorers if St Kilda play the exact same way. It's worth rolling the dice on personally, so I'm not going to trade out Jones for a Nick Dacos type. I'd rather be working around this forward line area, guys. A couple of things I've been playing with for my last 2 trades. I will be using all 3 in some manner or form. I would go Flanders to Cornelio, and I'd go Fergus Green to Horn Francis. However, I am about 20k short of that, so I can't do that, and I'd have, Cornelio, Horn Francis, and run them 6 with Goulden, Dunkley, and Rose Taranto. But not meant to be. I can get rid of Josh Bruce and make that happen, which will be amazing for points on field. But I really want to give Josh Bruce another go, especially against St Kilda. If he wasn't paying St Kilda, I probably would do that trade. But from what I saw, that is, Bruce can take his bit. He's probably going to be the best, if he was playing for St Kilda, he would be their best forward, because, there's not going to be anyone being able to outmark Bruce in the back line, because him and Jones should be getting heaps of intercept marks and heaps of chipping around. If you want to get rid of Jones, another one would be Ed Richards. I like him too. 27 touches in a losing performance last week. So I like Ed Richards and I like Dacos. I don't want to pay 600k for a Sicily or Dawson or anyone like that. I'll just let that go to a 500k player or just leave him, guys. I'm going to leave him. So if he's late minute withdrawal, I'll go Wilmot. Because if it's a late minute withdrawal, Dacos would have already played. So we can't really replace Jonesy with Dacos or anyone from the Adelaide or Port or Richmond game. And so yeah, the option's going to be quite limited. But Richards is one you can do if you really want to get rid of him. So because I can't make that trade happen, I'm thinking Flanders and Fergalicious into Cornelio and Sheasel. I really want to wait a week on Sheasel and get Horn Francis in just for points on field. I probably have to play Sheasel over Bruce, just, that's based on last week's form. You can't score 60 more points than someone and then say, oh yeah, I'm backing Bruce in. That's something else I've been playing with as well. I've been thinking about getting Chester for Warple and putting Mackenzie on the bench, and I know you're thinking that's a bit silly. He got 90 points, but if you look at his stats, he was playing Dons and 93 Supercoach. He only got 18 touches, 3 tackles. Wasn't the best game. I think he was quite lucky to get that 93, to be perfectly honest. So against Sydney, I don't know what he's going to score, but hopefully it's good. But so that's another thing we're playing with Chester for Warple, and then I'll maybe upgrade a Flanders to a Horn Francis or something like that. But yeah, so I'll work out that closer to the game. So at this stage, Collingwood's playing first up. I'll probably go Cornelio and Sheasel for Fergus Green. I don't see Fergus Green kicking too many goals against Sydney tomorrow, and I don't see Chesser setting the world on fire again. He only got 20 or something. But if he's ever going to play a good game, guys, this is it. 5 touches against North Melbourne, and that's just not good enough. I don't know if he's going to be generating much cash, guys, but Fergie Green and Chesser would be the ones. It'd be so much easier if they got dropped. Low-key hoping for a late out, not Goulden, a late out in the form of Green or Chesser but yeah, I would love to give Flanders another go, but 19 touches, 2 goals against the Dons. Last week, but playing Essendon this week, so... But that forward pocket role is not very enticing. I don't want to do a Tanner Bruhn and keep him a week longer than I should, especially when there's no other real gleaming problems. I'm happy with Ginby and Constable McKenna just getting 70s. And then Jones, hopefully he can... But we'll reassess. So there's a couple of people on the watch list for next week. Obviously, if I don't get Horn Francis... Sheasel or Cornelio, they'll be on my watch list. I don't want to bring in too many premiums, but like Cornelio, but because I have so much money in the bank, I can get to people. I can get a mid-price, or I can get that Sheasel and a Cornelio easily without really breaking the bank open. And I think Cornelio will be really good for points on field, considering all the GWS players are out, and he's going to get the bulk amount of CBAs. And, they've got West Coast, Carlton, Essendon, Hawthorn. I think if he can get tons up in each of those games, it'd be well worth the trade. I don't see a world where I'm bringing in any other premium next week, because there's Ollie Hollands, there's there's Chandlers, there's obviously Warples, and obviously Horn Francis's. I'm going to have another look at these guys, but they're the main ones I got my eyes on. Common's not really on my radar. So... Look, guys, I'll try to do another video after the Saturday's games or Sunday's games, so stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in. If you've got any questions about what you should do, just write it in the comments, guys. I'm happy to help. And hopefully we can avoid some more disasters. So I hope you enjoyed the SuperCoach Disaster segment, and do a couple more of these videos for you guys. So good luck for the rest of the week, and I hope we score a big score. See you guys.